I put together some paperwork here, which has nothing to do with home insurance. It has to do with cybersecurity insurance, the things that my agency offers. I have no good news today. There's not a stitch of good news out there. For your clients, when they're purchasing a home, they're running into an insurance industry, which is not their friend. I am your friend, not the insurance agency. You may think they are. I'm getting a lot of calls recently for auto warranty that just keeps coming. You know that phone call you get when they solicit you for your warranty?
It's non-stop.
I never have one.
I don't have a car, no, I'm only kidding.
Yeah, no good news in home insurance. I mean, this is not going to be a long presentation, but if you flip to the third page, because the first two have nothing to do, it's just information for you, your clients, your family, anybody that you come in contact with. But these are some tips for an info on the homeowner side of things. Homes in brush, the FAIR plan is the home insurer of last resort. So if you buy a home in Reseda, you can come to me and I can give a quote pretty quick right over the internet, get that quote. You buy it in Calabasas Oaks, Malibu, everybody's declining. And then I have to go to the FAIR plan, or the agent that the client has to go to the FAIR plan. Now, the FAIR plan used to be nicely priced and everything was sweet. And boy, it was $600 a year. And there was good coverage just for fire only. Now, the prices have just risen and skyrocketed. For a typical, 2,500 square foot home, you're talking, 1.4 million in coverage. On the low side, you're talking $3,200, $3,500, just for the fire portion. That doesn't include the other structures, the personal property, the building ordinance, and some other things that the FAIR plan offers. The FAIR plan is fire only. You have to get a wraparound for your theft, water damage, and liability. You can also get what they call a mini wrap, which is just liability only. So you have the FAIR plan plus the mini wrap, about $400 a year, so $35 plus $4, about $3,900. If you get a wraparound on that FAIR plan, it's $35 plus another $2,500, talking about $6,000 to $7,000 a year. That's annual. That's annual premiums. And this is what your clients are facing when they have factored in all the things that you have given them, but then they go to their insurer, and the insurer says, "Oh yeah, it's going to be $6,000 a year," and they just stop. Oh my God, I think I bought too much. Not everybody. I'm just saying what I see out there. Mm-hmm. I see, people blanch when they get that homeowner's insurance. It kind of stops them in their tracks. They're not going to stop from buying the home. They're not going to stop. One of the things I say in here is the rates. Number two, the rates have gone way up. In fact, skyrocketed. For your client to quote the FAIR plan, the agent, myself, has to go out and take a picture of the front and the back of the home and the address of the home on the mailbox, on the curb. And I have to send that in, the new rule, 1 week from the time I submit it. So to get the quote. So that's something new. Most people just want to call me and say, put in 123 Calabasas Street, get me the quote. It says you got to go to the FAIR plan. Now, the agent has to work. Now, insurance agents don't necessarily like to work too hard. But now they're making us work in the FAIR plan. The agent should go out even on a normal Farmers or State Farm or Travelers or Safeco policy to take those pictures anyways. It's a good idea. But for realtors, that's a moot point. But I put some things here. The fire, number 4, the fires have obviously caused insurers to cancel, non-renew, or raise premiums for the home insurance policies. A new purchase, if I'm buying a home from you and you own the home, you're selling it, the new purchase is subject to all types of scrutiny for me, regardless of the grandfathered policy you have. you're selling it to me. So you got Farmers, you're fine, you're gonna cancel it as soon as it's sold. But Farmers is telling me, when you're selling me the home, that we can't do it, we have to go to the fair plan, we have all these above things. That's a tricky thing, because I can't get your policy. Unless it's in Reseda or,
Right.
you know, Granada Hills or someplace nice where there's no brush. So the delineation is brush zone. So you're always telling your clients, check with your agent, check the brush zone, see if you're in brush. Because brush has certain connotations and middle of the valley has the old way we do it, which is a quote right away. You know?
How long does it take to get a quote for, I mean, are those prices, like you said, the 3,500, the 400, are those just the flat fee regardless?
No, those are, I'm just
Just a guess,
just a guess. It takes 3 to 5 days to get a quote.
Okay.
Agents can be lazy and get it in late, and your client is trying to close. So the urgency to just guide your client, make sure you have your insurance agent in your pocket, call Steve, he's ready, you know, something to that.
How do
Something,
we check the brush zones?
you don't have to, the client, the client is the one that has to do the
okay.
dirty work. You don't
Okay.
have to do it. I mean,
Okay.
there's no way, you can't call the carrier because you can't identify. I can identify, I'm Steve, A656.
Right.
And then they say, oh, sure, see,
Okay,
here's the
so-
brush, but you can't do it.
The agent.
But you can guess if the home is on Oak Ridge Drive, you kind of have, as opposed to Ventura Boulevard or Reseda Boulevard. I mean, you can tell when it's in Twin Pines Drive. You know, you're kind of like, oh, you know, and that's what we do too. You know, we do the same thing. Oh, I gotta look at this. And the insurance companies are not our friends. The fires have completely, as you well know.
Who writes the
Completely.
fair plan?
The fair plan is done by the California state government. The fair plan is a lot of people. And like I said, the old days, the prices were $600-700 for the year. Oh, if people wanted the fair plan because they could save oodles of money if they didn't care about theft, water, or slip and fall. But those days are gone. Those days are gone.
If you have the fair plan, can you still choose to get earthquake insurance and stuff?
Oh, yes, earthquake's a separate matter and they're
Yeah.
not worried about brush.
Right, okay.
Flood is a separate matter. They're not worried about brush. But the thing that's interesting and that I was talking to many about is number 5, to be a hero for your client in terms of the client that I apologize for spelling, getting a quote from their insurance agent. To be a hero, the thing that I asked the client, Stephanie, yes, thank you for calling me. You've hooked up with this gentleman and he referred me. Stephanie, when was the roof replaced? You, the realtor, like, I don't know, the roof looks pretty good to me. It's a nice architectural gable, you know, roof. It's very nicely done. And it's a fine roof. You'll love this home because look at the roof. It's lovely and it's a lovely part of town. I then have to sometimes guess as to when the roof was replaced, and that can crucial change insurance. Because if it's over 15 years old, the insurance company wants actual cash value on the roof instead of full replacement value. So it's not up to the realtors to find out, apparently from what I've come to understand, the date of replacement. But boy, that is a morsel. Because if you can ask the seller, hey, when did you do the roof? Well, I pulled a permit in 2000. Write that down.
Right.
Write that down. That's just like a morsel that you can pass to your client. Your client will be like, wow, I didn't even know I needed that. You're gonna need that because the agent's gonna plug it in. If I lie, if I put something erroneous and the fire occurs, and they find out that it's an incorrect date on the roof, they could retard coverage, they could take away coverage, they could bring it back down, and you're like, wait a minute, my agent told me, or my agent lied, I could be at fault. Somebody would take the hit, the insurance agency would take.
So what if the real estate agent doesn't, like, for one of my homes that I have, they don't know when it was replaced, but they have done some patches of their own, they mentioned, but as far as the age of the roof, then,
If needed is not so good,
okay,
whole replacement is good. Okay, so nobody knows.
Right.
You got a nice house and it looks good. Nobody has any clue. One way is to go onto the city records and see if a permit has been pulled. That's one avenue that can happen.
So you have to get a permit to get a, I'm sorry, if I get my roof for my home redone, I need to have a permit?
Yeah, you need to pull a permit. You need to pull a permit first.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying, like if,
For the
if
whole,
The roofer needs to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the roof.
that's what
He needs to
part
be-
of this
yeah,
The
contract.
roofer
right,
goes down and says, I'm doing 1, 2, 3 Calabasas Street,
Right,
pulls the permit. Therefore, it's a permitted roof, all the work is permitted, it's just
Right.
it's a fail safe.
Yeah.
Inspections throughout.
As opposed to just going up on the roof and hammering a few shingles and going, I fixed that leak, it looks pretty good.
so if the owner replaces his own roof, he still has to go do that permit. Okay.
yeah,
It would be advisable,
Like if he physically got up there and did it. 'Cause I know-
yeah, you could replace, if the person could replace his own
He needs
roof,
to
it'd
have
be-
a license, to pull a permit.
yeah, it just would be unpermitted. And so if the insurance company found out, you see what I'm saying? So there's a triangle here, there's the home, the disclosing people, you and me, and the permit. And everything kind of has to go in line. But you could really be a hero if you ever find, when was the roof replaced? Oh, I did it in 2015, I pulled a permit. Morsel, nugget, pass it to your client calls me, hey Steve, roof replaced in 2015, I put in 2015, I'm good, they're good, your client's good. If no one knows, perhaps the city permits can be pulled. And some people don't know. I can't tell you how many homes we guess on, and that's not a good practice. But
Do you just go back to I guess depending upon the year of the home, like when it was built or something? I mean, I don't know.
agents tend to put in less than 15 years to give their clients at least a fighting chance when a claim occurs. But let's face it, a lot of homes are built in 80, and the client has had it for 40 years. And somebody has had to touch that roof. Now, if you see Spanish tile, concrete tile, we're good.
right,
It's just that wood shake, nobody wants wood shake.
Yeah.
Rolled flat,
right,
very few. You can't get insurance for sometimes on rolled material. So there's some declinations. So you might get a home sold and then the insurance agency comes back, no, it's declined. We can't offer insurance, holds up the escrow. Because the escrow is like, where's the insurance? Where's the insurance? So, yeah, this roof replacement, however you can get it, you're not required to, right? You don't have to pitch that to the client, as I understand it. Because oftentimes realtors, I don't know when it is, just fix it, Steve. And we're trying to close. The same goes at a slightly lesser for, as I say in here, electrical and circuit breakers. When was the circuit breakers installed and the electrical updated? Again, I have no idea. I bought in 1980. I've been sitting here for 40 years. I have no idea what I've done. Okay, that's a tough one. Permits again, needed to fully bring the electrical up. Last thing you want to see in a home is cloth wiring. Homes have it, especially in the valley. There are homes, there's some nice homes in the valley that have cloth wiring. Insurance companies want nothing to do with that.
They'll ask you to rewire it.
They won't ask, but if they know, they'll decline. So then you're being asked basically to update that.
So there's no way around being declined. You just have to fix it in order to be able to.
There's no way around to say, well, we're thinking about fixing it in March of next year. It's not gonna happen. If they find out, if the agent punches in.
So you know how some people, like I know some people that try to cut corners and stuff like that. We all know that. You never hire like, oh, my buddy's an electrician, they're not licensed.
Licensed and insured.
So never have an unlicensed electrician. do it.
No,
People do it all the time.
Yes, that's what they do it all the time.
All the
Of
time.
course, I
No.
mean, yeah,
It happens all the
It
time.
happens all the time.
Because the handyman comes in,
Uh-huh.
and he is a different, he or she is different. And they can only charge up to $600, but then they say, well, I'm a general on the side.
Uh-huh.
I'm a handyman here, but I got my general license right in my pocket, so I can do your plumbing. Now he becomes your general and not your handyman. I mean, everybody's doing everything, okay? Assume the worst.
yes.
The same thing
What's
goes
up with so many,
on C here.
so many, even the regular people who have licenses are tough to.
Copper plumbing, when was the copper plumbing and replumbing done? The last thing they want is galvanized plumbing. They will take it with galvanized.
You'd be
That's-
surprised how many
So they take
homeowners
it with
don't even know
galvanized,
the
that means
answers
that
to
you
this
have
question.
to do a discount so they can do upgrading the copy.
No, galvanized, they will charge more on your premium. Then you upgrade the copper, down comes the premium. Especially if you replumb in the last 5 years, you can get a nice discount if you show that plumbing receipt to the insurance company. That's a gold tip right there for your client. Hey, if you've replumbed in the last 5 years, give your agent that plumbing's receipt. Obviously, they pulled permits, right? They gotta pull permits to do all these things, roof.
Isn't there a
Electrical.
site that we can go to, one site and see all the permits for the house you're working on, or no?
No.
Galvanized is illegal.
Wow.
That was-
Yeah.
Just have to go get a report.
painting.
Say that again?
You need- No, I'm saying, except painting your house, you pretty much need permits for everything.
But you couldn't go somewhere and, like, the owner themselves couldn't see what was pulled on their own house?
They can go to the city.
Well, the reason we're having this type of
Yeah.
class is because generally nothing occurs. The realtor says, this has curb appeal, it's a lovely home, it
Right.
looks great, oh, you wanna buy it, let's write the offer. The roofing, the electrical and the copper, the plumbing can be left to the side pretty quick. If you're trying to close it amongst 25 other people,
Right,
you know what I mean? How fast these things happen. So the insurance agent, wise for you. Unless we find out, now, it's another thing is, the insurance companies are extremely sophisticated right now. They have all your claims, they have a lot of information on the home. So if I'm buying your home is reported, you had a claim in 2018, water, you had fire, smoke damage in 2015, pops up, comes up. So now the underwriter, my associate is looking at me going, hey, we got problems.
Because it follows the house, right?
Follows the house.
why can't we get a Carfax?
That's kind of what.
No, if you can, yeah,
Right?
if you can invent this, you can be a nice
would
site,
be-
a nice website. You can invent these things, but they get passed over so, that's why I'm bringing them up.
Right,
They get passed over so quickly on the speed of sale for you, me. The one that takes the brunt is insurers. And everybody asks, why is my insurance rate so high? Well, a lot of people didn't do a lot of things. And then, of course, like I said, the fires up in Northern Cal, I can't imagine even being an agent in that area. Insurer and some of those areas, Tahoe, Paradise, disaster. The Fair Plan in Malibu fire, the last Malibu fire got a bad reputation. You know, nice client, insured for $4 million. I got coverage. I'm gonna call the Fair Plan and put in my claim because my home burned down. Fair Plan comes in and says, we'd like to offer you 2.3 million. That's what it costs us. Client's like, no way. I'm getting undercut by the Fair Plan. So the state government, imagine that, the government trying to hose you. Never heard of that
yeah.
before. Imagine that. So you're fighting, now you're an advocate, the client is an advocate against the insurance company. You have to advocate for yourself or get somebody like Greenberg, third-party claim administrators. So an insurance company now sees Greenberg come in, this is just one of them. Oh, that's a titanic battle. And you're kind of the clients down here and these two titans are battling for supremacy. And then all of a sudden, Greenberg forces the company to pay a full 4 million. Because what's home replacement cost these days? General contractors are telling me $350 to $600 a square foot.
That's expensive. Just wanted, that's expensive.
That's expensive, but we're not in, Fresno, we're
Right.
not in Lancaster, we're not in, Monrovia. We're here. We know what this looks like, and I don't know where your clients are coming from, but obviously they're drawing from Malibu, Calabasas, Newbury Park, Thousand. We live in the lap of luxury, the luckiest people in the world. Right? How lucky are we? We could be in Des Moines and just having a different, it's a different world in Des Moines. You get mayonnaise on your sushi in Des Moines. Yeah, that's what I said too.
That would even give me
Can I
that
have that
visual.
without mayonnaise on the sushi?
I could have gone with that, no, yeah.
So yeah, okay, look, a home in Reseda, 1,500 square foot, maybe 900 square feet, not gonna be 350 or 400 or 450. Might be a little less. But when the home burns down, as we found out in Malibu, the general contractor comes and goes, well, I've done the calculation, it's gonna be $475 a square foot. And the client looks at their insurance and they might be underinsured when they do the calculation, then I'm in trouble. So home insurance has something called extended replacement cost. And a lot of insurers have 25%, 50%, or 100%. So you can buy, for instance, Travelers can offer 100%. So if you're insured for $478,000 on your 1,500 square foot home, and you get 100% replacement cost, that's $950,000, more than enough to replace that home when that contractor shows the client the calculations, which are going to be high. Not only the cost of product, but the cost of labor. It all works into $350 to $600, depending on the home. It just depends on the home. I mean, right? Some of the homes back up in there. I mean, some of those homes, if you're owned by a celebrity, usually a celebrity can get a package of insurance that costs about $25,000 a year for everything. Jet skis, boats, 5 cars, home, kind of a blanket from Chubb. It's an exquisite policy for those that have the money to do it.
And that covers everything, your cars.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a nice Christmas tree of packages under the Christmas tree of insurance for one price. But that would be for a celebrity. For me, if I was buying that home, I wouldn't get that. But because the wealth, it tends to doing well. But again, we're in this area, so I'm trying to tailor this towards this area. But a home in Calabasas Oaks that was built, what's the oldest home in Calabasas Oaks? What year? What's a guess?
56.
56. It's a long time ago. I was born in 56. That means 65 years, that home may have never been touched. It might have galvanized steel, cloth wiring, and a roof that was put on there, 1980. Tricky.
And that needs to be upgraded. That would need to be upgraded.
Well, it would need to be upgraded. The insurance company would do its due diligence, because anytime your client buys a policy, the insurance carrier sends out somebody to check my work. And they are very meticulous. Surprisingly, you don't even know they're there. Sometimes they can get there and do the work. And all of a sudden, once you've purchased the home policy and feel like you're moving in and everything's good, 60 days later, you get a note from the insurance company. Our inspector found this, we're declining you. They have 60 days to get off the policy.
Thanks. Surprise.
Yeah, so these are just some of the things, but that one thing is I always need to know is, when was the roof replaced? And if you have a way to find out that and give that to the client, that's just a real help to the client and you being the professional that you are, you
Mhm.
know, just an egg, because the other professional, I don't know how to find it, I don't need to find it. It's not my job, you know, it happens a lot, it happens a lot, and a miscalculation of a roof could hurt. Anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to cover.
Mhm.
Some of the other paperwork is just kind of all the things that we offer. Cyber insurance I put right on top because cybersecurity is completely out of whack. We are getting ransomware and we are getting data breached. And I don't know, you know, somebody like Keller Williams with all the data that you keep on clients, you need to have cyber insurance to protect yourself. And the price is rising exponentially each and every year. Rise. What if you don't have cyber coverage? Your data's been breached, you might be ransomed, and you're toast.
So cyber, does that cover that, do you help retrieve this lost stuff?
The
or-
insurance companies put together a package to help retrieve, to help stave off ransom, to help pay for ransom, although insurance companies have decided not to negotiate with ransom people anymore. They've stopped. But there's a whole host of other things that cyber security insurance assists you with.
Okay.
If you're breached.
So can I ask you a question? So like, let's say for the escrow company and they have, you know, they were victim of wire fraud, right? Someone came in and fished their email and all that kind of stuff. Is that something that's covered in cyber?
Yeah, it would be if escrow purchased it. You have to be specific, you have to fill out an application for your business or for yourself. And get, for instance, an accountant is the accountant has 1,000 clients
Mhm.
and they have all the information. And so if they're hacked, they got a problem.
Mhm.
So you buy the cyber to try to help you recover. And some of the things that I say on this. And it's a tricky this cyber is a whole new world, right? Whole new world.
But
When
with Stephanie's question, when she was asking if the information was breached, and let's say the person wired the money to the fake account, do you guys recover that money? Like, do you replace that money? I think that's what you were asking, right? About the money
It's
side of it.
specific to the type of cyber that you've signed up for. I mean, there's several quotes, all high in price. As I mentioned here, in helping your company recover the data breach with costs that include business disruption, revenue loss, equipment damages, legal fees, public relations expenses, forensic analysis, and costs associated with the legally mandated notifications. Now, they're gonna chew on that when the claim comes in and find out what exactly is happening. Where does it fit in some of those words? Full restitution, I mean, that's a little difficult to say. I mean, I couldn't just say that because if they didn't, then, you know, as an insurance agent, we'd be responsible for that statement. Especially if I'm signing up a client. It's broad. And like I said, the one area that is being scrutinized heavily is ransomware. Somebody hacks you and says, you owe us 300,000 or you're down. The insurance company, and you bought insurance, the insurance company may not ride to the rescue there. They've decided that they're cutting ransoms off. They're not negotiating. Therefore, the 300,000 they never get, but you completely lost your data. So you want to have backup, cloud backup, whatever they you need backup. So your IT person has that answer to backup.
Can we circle back to the home warranty home insurance as far as the race foundation, slab foundation? How does that affect?
Oh, yes, a couple other things here. It's just a note to know what the foundation of the home is. Oftentimes,
How old it? how old
Zillow
it
does
is?
not have it correct, raised or slab. I've seen it before, so I look at Zillow and I go, it's slab. Put in slab, and the client calls me, no, it's raised. You can see there's crawl space. It's just, you know, Zillow or Redfin, they're quick to put it in. They haven't vetted it necessarily, and there might be other areas too, but I put that down there because the insurance agent needs to know if it's raised or slab.
But some of that you'll find in your property profile. And then questions definitely when you have a listing, right, or to ask, always ask, you know, how old's the AC, how old's the roof, when's it been replaced, those questions too, so then you can
But
ask.
what if they don't have the answer?
Well, at least ask them, so then they know, so then you can provide, and then two, like he's saying, when you guys, like, you're getting into escrow, right?
Right.
Call Steve right away, because that's part of their inspection period, right? To see if they want, you know, so they know for sure what they're.
Well, I don't get too many calls from realtors, but the client might call if they get,
No.
if their interest is piqued.
Yeah, have the agent tell their clients, hey,
Right.
call Steve, right? So then you can figure out how much your insurance is gonna be, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's just part of their.
Yeah.
They're investigating whether they want the property or not.
The pool properly fenced. It's always nice to see a home with a real good fence or wall or access to the pool for families. If the pool is not fenced properly and you've got 3 kids with the family, you can anticipate that there might be some problems insurance-wise if it's not properly fenced. Now, most people will run in and put some of those guard fences in real quick. They'll build them out and they'll just secure that home just for their own safety of their own children. But if you're walking into a home and there's no walls or fences or anything
Around the property itself?
around the property itself,
Okay, what, are you talking about immediately around the pool too, or just the property line?
it's hard to say because there's so many different pool fencings out there.
Right,
Your eyes will tell you if this pool is not fenced properly.
well, I have a scenario where the home itself is fenced completely, but the pool isn't, and some people put in those fencing, that
Yeah,
portable fencing.
portable fencing, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
Also
That
have
too,
the,
is that
also have the
considered-
net ones.
is that qualified or whatever you call it?
That would really help because upon inspection of my work, they
Right.
could cancel them for the pool not being fenced properly.
Okay.
So you just try to make, you know, the client is making all kinds of effort, agent taking it, it's kind of, it falls out of the realtor's hands and into
Yeah.
insurance hands.
Okay.
But just some of these points to be, like I said, to be a hero, some of these 5 points here
Right,
are just good to have for the client. It just makes you look a little bit more in tune with the insurance portion, because a lot of people don't know anything about insurance. They just accept what I say, and I could write a pink, you know, policy, and they just love it, you know, but
not for
I-
$6,000, they
you know,
don't.
I'm fraught with danger on my side. You guys are fraught with danger on your side. But insurance agents too can, you know, that's why we carry our professional, you know, is the most important thing that all of us could ever
Yeah.
use, is because mistakes are made, everybody's rushing,
Right,
they have the speed to, you know, from a client buying and forgetting to do their insurance until 3 days before the close. That's where a lot of
especially if it falls
mistakes
into this, because then you have to send
Yeah.
it a week early and all that stuff.
Yeah, if you're late on the fair plan,
Yeah.
you're gonna not close.
Right.
So when you're selling a home and you just know it's Twin Pines Boulevard,
Uh-huh.
you're just like, hey, there's a possibility this could be the fair plan, contact your agent as soon as possible.
Right.
So,
So quick question on, you know, how much the home prices have increased over the last, you know, definitely the last couple of years, but over the last few years, right? Should the homeowner raise, do they have to call in and say, hey, you know, my house is now worth X, Y, Z, and, you know, do I need to increase my coverage or anything like that? Is that?
coverage we can take care of, but a deductible, if you have a lender on a home, they require no more than $1,000 deductible. So you can't raise it to $10,000, which would lower the price. But then the lender will get it and say, no, you can't, no. Gotta go back to 1,000.
But as far as, tell me if I'm wrong, but as far as your question goes, as far as the value of your home, you should always do an insurance checkup, is what we used to call it. I did insurance for 13 years.
So, you know,
You always want to do an insurance checkup. What's my home worth? is it covered properly? Especially if you do upgrades or if you add personal property and all this other stuff. You want to talk to the man because just because you live there for 20 years doesn't mean you don't want to know what's going on until you get a surprise.
Well, we do have insurance, inflation guard,
Uh-huh.
so that 4% each time. That's why you see your price go up just a little bit. And you're like, why did it go up? Well, the coverage was 478, now it's 529. So they raised it for you. But you always want to calculate the square footage. What's the calculation? I'm blanking on it now. The square footage of the home to get to $450 a square foot. The coverage
Uh-huh.
divided by the square footage of the home gives you that number. So if your coverage is 200,000 divided by 450,
Right.
you're not getting much. Divided by square footage, you're not getting much.
Right.
But if it's 4 million
Mhm.
and the home is 2,500, you're obviously getting
Getting more, right.
more. It's a calculation that, again, you realtors are not really doing that work. You know, you're leaving it.
We stay in our lane.
But
But you want to make sure you talk to them.
these little tidbits, you know, that can really help. So that's the whole premise of what I was kind of talking with many on and just saying, hey, there's a few changes out there. And of course, the fires have just ruined everything and it's a very unfortunate.
Yeah.
No.
It's funny, the insurance business is funny. It's been this way all the time. People want the best homes, the finest refrigerator,
Mhm.
the nicest clothes and the best bottle of wine, but they want the cheapest piece of auto insurance they can get there.
That's true.
And also, 'cause
Right.
life insurance was a big thing.
They're
when
like,
you're
we don't
dealing
use it
with
every day.
Younger
That's the
couples who are buying
Honest.
homes and
But
like
you do use it.
they don't have life insurance
Because people didn't.
to
want
help
the
pay for the
cheapest
home if something
thing.
happens to one of
Yeah.
them. They don't even think of that. They don't want to get the life insurance because they're gonna live forever.
People
So
that
that's
never use,
another example.
people that never use their insurance, for them, it's just something like, very,
Yeah, if they're not in finance, if they're artists, they're really not
Right.
caring one iota about insurance. We in finance have these numbers in our mind. We're always thinking numbers. And how much is this gonna cost? But people want they'll call me on Geico, they'll say, I need a better price. I'm like, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Right.
They're disappointed.
It's no different than us at Redfin. It's the same scenario,
What's better, Redfin or Zillow?
right?
Neither one.
Keller Williams.
Oh, does Keller Williams have a site that mirrors Redfin or Zillow?
Yes, you're looking at them. And nothing beats an in-person, live individual. Would you rather talk to me or the automated system?
Yeah.
You know, right?
Well, in my networking groups, I've been involved with different agents over the years. I think you remember Cindy Libanati. She's been a long time member. I think she was with Keller and she's with someplace else, but I don't know the whys, but it's been interesting and it just was a different world back in the day. Back in the day, 15 years ago, 2008, right? The old overloan, meaning the 1,500 square foot property got a loan for 1.2 million. How is this possible? The home is worth 400,000, but the overloan created that bubble in 2008 because the lenders were just, loaning your clients so much money on a small
So
home.
you're loaning them more
Yeah.
money.
More money
Not
than
anymore, they're
That's
not.
why everybody was overextended.
Yes.
that was the old one.
Upside down and whatever they call it.
1.2, so the price would be, the price would be 900 and,
So what would they do with the overage?
it would be a remodel, do whatever they want.
That's not.
That caused a great bubble.
Is
That caused a great
that
bubble.
similar? No, something different.
It's strictly.
Jumbo is over.
I don't know what they did. I just know that the lender wanted to show 1.2 million. And I said, the home is worth 400,000. I can't show it to you.
But he's just worried about the
It's
commission.
something that's not,
That's what he's
30
looking
years.
The lender was worried that they
I think
loaned
it's not that.
1.2. they want insurance for 1.2. I cannot give it to them.
Because the house is worth 400,000.
The house is worth 400, the limit plus extended, even if I did 100% extended replacement, that's only 800,000. So I would have to lift the insurance to 600,000,
Just the,
passing the cost on to them. I mean, those were bad days, and obviously a bubble burst, so the whole thing. Now, the lenders are pretty good about things, right? They're pretty.
Yeah, they're starting to do, you know, a little bit more, but they're definitely stricter and we don't have, hopefully they learned their lesson, you know, from 08.
I don't think so.
But most of it, you know, it's other
not the old days.
programs are coming back in
The
again.
80s was fine, everything was fine in the 80s. Nobody had a problem in the 80s. The 80s was the heyday of insurance, the heyday of everything.
Classic.
The 90s, then everybody got a little fat and happy, and then 2008. So
that's crazy. So a house worth 500,000, people were getting $1 million loans. That is insane.
Yeah.
I didn't know quite, the mechanics were shocking me because I couldn't bring the insurance policy up to that 1.2. Because it's not big enough. So I kept saying, why are the lenders doing it? You know, at the time, I couldn't figure it out. And then when I figured it out, I went, oh, it's not gonna work. It's gonna topple the industry, which indeed it happened. Now, the fires are creating another avenue for insurance companies and lenders to figure out how they want to do this. Because if they're loaning in Malibu, they need some solid insurance, they need paperwork, they need, you know, they need to meet the demands of their client and their books. So it's a little different now with the fires, but I don't know. Like I said, everybody wants the best of everything, but auto insurance, they want the cheapest thing. So they go crazy when they see, you know, oh my God, my auto insurance went up. Anyways.
All right, any other questions?
Other questions?
This is awesome, Steve, thank you.
Oh, great. My number's on the sheet, so if any clients need some help, be more than happy to help them. Also, my email. Best thing to do is email. My email's at the top of the sheet, sbrevidoro@aol.com. I also have some cards. I'll give her some cards. And thanks to Minnie and thanks to Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
More here, and I appreciate it.
All right, Steve,
Thanks,
have a great
everybody.
day. All right, you too.
Insurance is purchased through mortgage broker.